Valhalla Sports Talk presents the Skol Report. My name is Jeff Cran, aka the Mad Viking, and this is the Minnesota Vikings post-game report. The Vikings today dropped to 0-3 on the season after losing 31-30 to the Tennessee Titans. Is there anywhere to go from here? What's up, Vikings Nation? Mad Viking here. Post-game report. Vikings dropped another one today, 31-30. Those Tennessee Titans. Crazy disappointed in the whole deal. Do want to ask you folks, if you're new to the channel, your first video, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, help my little channel grow here. Trying to make this the place for the Minnesota Vikings on YouTube, especially on game day. Let's get into what happened in today's game. I'm going to do a quick drive summary of the game. Then we'll get into the individual stats of the team. And then at the end, we'll have a little discussion about where do the Vikes go from here. But let's get right into what happened in the game. Drive summaries. First quarter, Titans get the ball on the opening kickoff, drive down. They get a field goal, and that makes the score 3-0. A 64-yard drive, took 3:16 and puts them up 3-0. Vikings immediately get the ball, then punt it away. Tennessee responds with a punt of their own. Then there's a big fumble by Dalvin Cook, who lands on the back of C.J. Ham to turn the ball over to them. Then Tennessee answered that with a field goal to go up 6-0. Minnesota on the next drive scores a touchdown. A run by Dalvin Cook, a 39-yarder, a beautiful run to the right side where he gets loose and scores. That made the score 7-6. And then an interception on the Titans by Harrison Smith ended the first quarter. Second quarter, Vikings take that interception. They go down, score a touchdown, 10 plays, 88 yards. Kirk Cousins passed a 16-yarder to Adam Thielen for the Vikes to go up 14-6. Tennessee answers with a field goal of their own. Minnesota comes down, matches their field goal. By now we're sitting at 17-9, Vikings lead. The punt follows that with the end of the half. So we go into the half, Vikings leading 17-9, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's feeling okay. We think we might have a chance to get W number 1 on the 2020 season. So we come out in the third quarter. Vikings receive the kickoff there. Cousins immediately throws an interception, a pick six to his right that's called back after the interception for an illegal block or something of that such. So Tennessee has to try to drive it in. Minnesota defends it, forces them to punt. So then Minnesota drives the field, and we have a missed field goal after a lot of confusion. I think it was a penalty on them, and then we gave up a penalty, and then they might have given up another one, but it was a missed field goal by Dan Bailey, a 57-yarder that he missed to the right. Tennessee comes right down, scores a field goal of their own to cut the lead to 17-12. Minnesota then gets the ball. Cousins pass deep to Justin Jefferson, the rookie, ladies and gentlemen. He had a huge game. We'll get into that when we get into his stats, but this was a 73-yard play. 24-12 is the score after the Jefferson touchdown. Tennessee then gets to business. They come back. They score a touchdown on their next possession to cut the lead to 19-24. Then we punt back to them, and they come down and score again. They score 2 touchdowns in just over 2 minutes to make the score 25-24. And I totally felt like this is where the game was gone. Minnesota answers, though. Cousins a pass to Kyle Rudolph, who makes an unbelievable catch in the end zone. A one-handed grab, taps the toes, and the Vikings go up 30-25. Fourth quarter starts, and I've got those familiar pains of a 40-year Viking fan where I'm like, can we stop these guys? Can we stop them and hold this? Tennessee goes right down after that Rudolph touchdown. They kick a field goal to cut the lead to 28-30. And then the Vikings come out and actually crap the bed on their next possession. They have to punt. Tennessee kicks the field goal to go up 31-30, and that sends out Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense, who then absolutely caved in at the end of the game there, and they don't manage to do anything. They managed to go backwards like 30 yards, and that was the game. That was the end of the game, ladies and gentlemen. So Vikings down to 0-3 on the season. Tennessee Tennessee improves their record to 3-0. So let's get into the stats here for the Vikings. I'm not going to worry about well, let's look at them both. We'll look at them both here. So the stats here. Titans, Ryan Tannehill on our depleted and totally inept secondary goes 23 for 37 for 321-1. Derrick Henry runs for 26 carries, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He averages 4.6 a carry. And Khalif Raymond is the big receiver for the Titans. He went 3 for 118 on 3 targets. So every time they threw it to this dude, he torched somebody in the Vikings secondary. So that was kind of the name of the game. Titans, the big tackler for the Titans was Jonathan Joseph with 7 tackles, J-Ron Brown with 6. And that was the name of the game for those Titans. Let's check out the Viking stats for the game. Kirk Cousins went 16 for 27 for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he did have 2 interceptions. Dalvin Cook showed up today. Wasn't enough. 22 runs, 181 yards, and a touchdown. He averaged 8.2 yards a carry. Justin Jefferson, the rookie, shows up. It's his breakout game today, ladies and gentlemen, in the loss. 7 receptions, 175 yards, and a touchdown. And he looked every bit of a number 1 pick and a huge player for the future of this franchise. So then we get further down into it. Let's check us on the defensive side of the ball. Tackles. Harrison Smith led the team with 6 tackles and 3 assists. Kendricks, 6 tackles, 4 assists. And Anthony Harris, 6 tackles, 2 assists. So our 2 starting safeties were 2 of the top 3 in tackles on the team. That means your team is getting gashed, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely owned all over the football field. When your safeties are the ones making the tackles, that means the line isn't doing anything and your linebackers aren't doing much either. Kendricks, of course, shows up week after week, but boy, other than him, those other 2 linebackers are straight garbage for the Vikings. So that's it. That's the stats. That's how it looked. So what does this mean for the Vikes going forward? Okay, we're sitting here at 0-3. I think it's the second time in the franchise's history that we've ever been 0-3 on a season. And we're sitting here and we still have over 3/4 of the season remaining to go. So out there in Viking Nation, you got folks screaming, tank for Trevor. You got people saying, fire everybody. You got people saying, get rid of Cousins. You know what? None of that shit is going to happen. None of it is going to happen. This franchise is not a franchise that's going to sit there and tank to try to get a better draft pick. Nobody's getting fired because they all just got extensions, okay? Zimmer extended, the front office extended with Spielman, and Cousins ain't going nowhere either because he just got an extension. So what has to happen for this team to improve? It's pretty simple. We have to play defense, ladies and gentlemen. We have to start playing well on the defensive side of the ball. We had a couple plays in this game where we finally had some third downs that we stopped them on. But overall, we just keep getting absolutely gashed by all these teams, especially when they send their tight ends out against us. We are getting owned by tight ends the first 3 weeks of the season. No-name wide receivers heating us up on a weekly basis. And so, I mean, where do we go from here? It's the big thing is if Zimmer is such a defensive genius, okay, he's supposed to be the guy, the guru for these cornerbacks. That's where we're having the biggest amount of trouble. Our offensive line is still suspect at best. So we need to improve there as well. But the defensive side of the ball is where this team absolutely has to improve in order to get going on the 2020 season here. Next week, the Vikings go on the road to Houston to play a Houston team that is also 0-3 on the season. So they're not very good either. So Vikings should be able to go into Houston next week and get a dub. We'll see if Zimmer has this team ready to do that. But with that being said, that's going to conclude today's Minnesota Vikings post-game report. I'll invite you folks to please join us every week for our Minnesota Vikings Game Day live telecast during the game where we do play-by-play. I do the play-by-play of the game, and then we have a chat room where the Skol Nation shows up and they chat Thor's Army in the chat there with the Berserkers on notice. And we have a good time in there. We're not We've only done 3 of them so far. I'm a relatively small channel on YouTube, so we're still trying to garner, some interest in that whole deal. But I think by the time this season's over, we're going to have a very, very active group in the chat there cheering on these Minnesota Vikings and hoping to cheer them on to victory. So anyway, join us for those every week. I'm going to do them every week of the season. I'll go online 15 minutes prior to game time at the latest to get the Viking Nation hyped, and we will get in there and cheer on these Vikings and hope we get some wins here in the 2020 season. Uphill climb here, but it's not like it can't be done. There's an extra playoff spot this year. It's 3 games, which it's pretty depressing. 0-3 is pretty depressing, but if we could get a win next week, cut it to 1-3, and then start working it up from there, chisel it down, you never know what's going to happen. One thing's for sure. Nothing stays the same. Everything changes all the time. So hopefully the Vikings can get it going next week. So on this video itself, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 750 subscribers here by the end of September. I'm going to miss that goal quite a bit. We're going to roll that over to October, trying to get to 750 by the end of October. I think we can hit that relatively easy, and we'll go from there. So hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, turn on bell notifications if you want to know when we go online. And anyway, from here, I'm going to say Skol Nation. Let's get this thing going next week. You guys have a great week. Be kind to your neighbor and have a great day. I'm going to go to the cut screen here. I'll see you guys next week here on the Skol Report.